Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Gisela Show. It's Sunday, 12 o'clock, and I have some real important news for you. But first, before we get into that, we want to say hello to Amnon, our producer. Amnon, hello.
Hello,
So
Gisela.
nice to be.
Yes.
So nice to be. And listen, folks, next Sunday, we're going to have a Sunday of reckoning again, where I have to find out what you like on the show. So please get prepared, all the people that come on Sundays we know there are a certain amount of people that tune in every Sunday. And we love and thank you for it. We think it's absolutely great. But we do want to know what you like best. We want to know, you like this medley of a little bit of this and a little bit of that, or do you want me to just talk about natural health, just talk about homeopathy? What you want to know. I can give you the information. I just have to know. And today again,
And the
we
way,
will
and,
talk.
and wait a second, and the
Yeah.
way that they can do it, so they don't need to remember emails or this or that or the other. If they look on the left, there is an item in the menu called Rate a Show.
Ah,
And they can go in there and talk about, they mention the Gisela show, and they can say what they would want.
yeah, yeah. And that would be helpful to you and to me because, and again, it's totally anonymous. You don't have to give your name. We don't ask for your email. We don't ask for anything really. All we want to know is how I am perceived, what you want to know. I'm here to serve and to help. And so is Amnon. We are not making any money with this. So we want to just educate the public and take advantage of it. I mean, there is so little truth in this world right now that I would think that this would be a welcome thing. Everything that I will tell you, you can fact check and you can take as gospel. I will always see that I research everything I tell you sufficiently enough so I will not lead you down the primrose path. You know, I mean, so many people today, they tell you things that they want you to know or that benefits them if you know it in this way. We know that that is happening from in all walks of life, not just in politics, but in all walks of life. And that is so sad. You know, I heard this morning such a great story from, I watched Sunday morning CBS. Now, does that um, date me? Does that label me? Well, maybe. But I think it's a great show. It's a show also that is there to educate and to entertain. And there was a little girl who's selling, I don't know if anybody watched it, um, was selling Girl Scouts cookies. And she was saying, you know, if I'm not honest, what I say, what am I? Now, this girl is 12 years old. 12, 12. Need I say more? We need to start to be more honest with each other. That doesn't mean that we take the truth and hit you between the eyes. No, that does not mean that. But what it means is that when you do say something, if you say something with conviction, you say it because you have fact checked the truth. It is not, it is not, it's not fair if you are if you're saying something to your friend or if you're a teacher or your nurse or whatever, and you're saying something and the people believe you, and then they have to fact check you to see if you said the truth. That's not fair. You need to do that before you open your mouth. Think, is that really the truth? So today I'm going to tell you a little truth about pain management, chronic pain management. In fact, I'm going to talk a lot about that. And how you can approach that without devastating drugs and without going, you know, broke for medicines that often do not help. Now we know that our whole world is really, I mean, chronic pain is so pervasive today that it is amazing. As you know, I'm a homeopathist, and I have a practice, and I see clients every day. And I talk to clients, and most clients come to me because they either have chronic pain, because that gets you to the doctor, right? If you have pain, it gets you to the doctor. If something stops functioning in your body, you can't walk anymore, you can't grip anymore, you can't do this or that anymore, you go to the doctor. Doc, what's happening? Well, most of the time, when something stops functioning in our body, that produces also pain. Why? Because the problem, like every internal organ, every external appendage, like hands and feet and legs and head and ears and nose and tongue and everything, has with it pain receptors and pain givers. That means in our brain, they are pain receptors. So if these cells send out a signal and saying, hey, there's a problem here. Let's say it's your hand. You cannot move your hand. The hand, the nerve endings in your hand send a signal to the brain saying hand is not moving. The brain perceives that as pain. That's how that very, very simplified, how that all works. I try to say everything in a very layman's term so that people understand it. Not everybody is really well versed in anatomy and physiology and, that they really do know all of the medical terms. So I try to simplify things. If you think that I simplify too much, let me know. I will get a little deeper in it. But at least you have the idea. So when that happens, now all of a sudden we know, not only do we know that our hand is not working, but we also perceive it as pain. Now, it could also be a numbness. And if numbness persists, then it causes a tingling, numbing pain feeling. So chronic pain is totally pervasive. I mean, other than maybe children and young adults who are very, very fit and people who are really fit, most everybody has some type of chronic pain. Sometimes it is enough to send you to the doctor or to have to take pain medication. And why is that a billion-dollar industry? Not surprising, right? Aspirin, Tylenol, ibuprofen, you name it. I mean, when you go into a drugstore, there's a whole host. There must be 100 150 at least, just dealing with pain. And that is just the over-the-counter stuff. Then we have all of the drug prescription pain medication. And we do that, or we have that because people want instant result. I was yesterday talking to someone. This woman has had a very bad car accident about 6 months ago. I have been treating her, but she also is very, very attached to her doctor. I mean, it's like her doctor can do no wrong. And I think that's great, that if you have somebody that you trust so much that you want to only have them. But she is open to me telling her, you don't have to take Oxycontin. You don't have to take Demerol to sleep. You don't have to take all of this. You can do it in a different way. It may take a little longer. Yeah, but there is the problem. There is the problem. That's exactly those two little words. It may take a little while. So it's a few more than two little words, but just that prevents people from doing further damage to their body. We'll talk today about how you can do this. If you have, I don't care what kind of pain, you may have a kidney problem, so you have lower back pain. You may have a fatty liver or a congested liver, so you have pain in the upper part of in your stomach area where the liver is. There may also be swelling. You may have pain because you are so tired most of the time, and you're so lethargic that you don't move a lot. So then after a while, when you do move, everything starts creaking and cracking, and muscles hurt and joints hurt, and, say yay, type in yay if that pertains to you.
Yay!
Or me. Yeah. All right. So here's the thing. You do not have to take these drugs. And that's what I'm here for. Now, if it gets really bad, where you're in excruciating pain, as when I was with my neck, oh, you bet your sweet Bippy, I was taking a number one pill that alleviated temporarily the pain so that I could think and say, well, what can I do in a natural way? And we'll talk about that word in a second. In a natural way that will not further damage my body, because obviously I was damaged. So you don't want to further damage it by taking chemicals that will now impair your kidneys, that will impair your heart, that will give you high blood pressure, that will stop you thinking clearly, that will maybe upset your stomach, that will make you depressed. Well, I can go on and on. I mean, just listen to the advertisement of these drugs. They always note the side effects. I don't know why people don't listen to it, but people still take it. Now, here are a few things that for chronic pain that you can do without having to resort to chemical drugs, to drugs that are not. And these things are not even homeopathic. We then have that whole host of homeopathic where but then we fix the body. I'm talking right now about immediate help that will give a relief immediately without going towards these drugs. Now, like I said, if you're in excruciating pain, you go to the doctor and you get a pill that will help. But most of the time, chronic pain gets exacerbated by our mind. And here is what I mean by that. When you have a chronic pain, let's say you have sciatica pain, which is so common, it's amazing how common that is. Most of my clients really come with either neck pain or lower back pain. Few of them with knee pain, but most of them have neck pain, lower back, sciatica pain. And they have that chronically, really. It's always there. It's not a screaming pain, but it's always there. You know, it's always that ache and, oh, I don't feel well. And well, if you don't feel well, you sit down and you rest. Well, not everything gets better by rest. Some of the pains and some of the things gets better by movement. So you have to try that. Thank God, all of my clients that come to me, I really would say 99% are so well educated. They've been with me for years now. They're so well educated, they know. You know, if I have sciatica, if it's immediate, you know, that immediate bang into the back and oops, my back is out. I can't move. Well, it's not out. What happened is, and we've talked about that before, the vertebrae has a cushion in between, you know, that it's a little gelatin, hard gelatin, where each vertebrae rests on, and then in between that all the nerve endings go. They go through there all the way into your neck, into your brain. That's how our nerve endings, the main ones, travel. So if you make a wrong movement and just miniatures, just like this, give it a little like this, a nerve may have been impaired or is close to it. And immediately the pain cells and messages go to the brain and say, there is a problem, there's a problem, there's a problem, help, help, help. And if you then, anybody who has been there knows, if you then take a deep breath, not panic like, oh, shit. And you just take a deep breath and say, okay, now I know what this is. Let my body relax. Let my body relax. We all do that. Just put down your shoulders and let your body relax. Immediately, you start to feel a little better. Pain may still be there, but now you can get either up onto the floor or wherever you landed when this happened. You know, usually it happens when you are, you know, you make a wrong move, not a wrong move, just any kind of move. You know, when you've had it once, it seems to occur more often during, and the older you get, the more often it can occur. Now, often that happens because we have not strengthened the muscles in our body. And strengthening the muscles, especially the back muscles, you can do easily by walking. Walk. It benefits your heart, your cardiovascular system, your liver, your kidneys, your muscles, your tendons, your brain. Everything gets benefited by walking. Not running, not strenuous exercise, but purposefully walking. Now, many people, like this woman who had the car accident, she keeps telling me, well, I walk a lot. I mean, she has a very big house and I walk a lot, and she's a clean freak. So she's constantly walking about. Every little dust of speck has to be removed immediately. So she walks a lot, but that's not the kind of walking that I mean. The kind of walking that I mean is walking down the street in fresh air, swinging your arms. Do you know the kind of walk I mean? You swing your arms and you take deep breaths. And you do that for 10 to 15 minutes a day. And you have started your detox program for the day. And that is the most potent medication that you can give to your body. Detox and a relaxed walk, that everything in your body moves. Once you move, we are set up for that. We are made to move. We are not stationary things. We are made to move. Everybody always says, Gisela, at your age, how can you be so young? How can you? Well, you know what? It starts here. I formulate and say, I refuse to give in. I refuse to give in. I have aches, as you know, pain. I fell this week in my living room over the stupid exercise equipment, mind you, okay? Over the exercise equipment. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Wrenched my shoulder, couldn't lift my arm, still have a little bit of it left. But in 1 week, I'm able to do most everything. It's still a little tender when I reach for things, because what I did is I injured the flexor muscle right up here, the flexor muscle that is right in here. There's nothing wrong with my shoulder or my shoulder cuff. So many people come to me and say, oh, I think I have a rotator cuff problem. No, you don't. Often it is the flexor muscle here, their tendons, and that muscle is a strong, big muscle, has a lot of fascia in it that gets, you can see it on, when you look at an anatomy chart, you can see it, it's white, almost white coated. And these are fascia tendons that are outside of that muscle. And when you get into an accident, or you hit it, that can get bruised, and that can take a long time to heal, because there's very little blood flow in there. Whenever you have an area that you're injured where you have little blood flow, like in the lower back, when you have a sciatica problem, it's not always a sciatica problem. It's also sometimes just lower back vertebrae problem, because this cushion in here with age gets compressed and gets smaller, and with that you can have then a major pain problem. So all of that cannot be replaced, except, the doctors, the surgeons do tell you that they can replace it. Anybody who has done that I know of has not fared well with that. There may be some people who have, but at this point, the way I see it, And the doctors that have been honest with me when I have interviewed them about it, not so much for me, but for my clients, I have a few doctor friends, they all say, it's still pretty much so experimental. Many people have done for a short amount of time well, but then it has gone way to the worse. So be very careful before you maybe consort to that. So walking, movement, okay? If you have an immediate injury, yes, you need to rest. You need to rest it. So if, let's say you have a sciatica or a lower back, that your back is out, you see that you get into a position that is moderately comfortable. See that you put some moist heat on it and stay for an hour or two, take your deep breath, and then use your mind to heal yourself. Now, for many of you, that might be, oh, Gisela, you're really full of it. My mind can't do that. Well, yes, it can. Yes, it can. Your mind can do amazing things and is the governing force for your health. Now, if you cannot, and many of us can't concentrate really, so they can't meditate, they don't know how to meditate. If you are one of those people, then use binary sounds. Have you heard of that, Amnon?
No, what's a binary sound?
Binary sounds are sounds that each ear perceives a different sound. And in that, when it gets to the brain, when you realize it, and when when you hear it, it sounds like one sound, but it's in actuality two sounds that are synchronized to a specific frequency that elicits responses in the brain. They have binary sounds for sleeplessness. They have binary sounds for motivation, energy, get up and go. They have binary sounds for positivity. It's another reason why many of us have chronic pain, because their thought process is very negative. Everything is negative. Everything has to be questioned. Everything is fearful. Everything is stress. That can exasperate any kind of chronic pain. So binary sounds can help you change that. I've been practicing now all week with binary sounds, because I said, okay, so I am a homeopathist. I know what to take. In fact, when I fell, immediately I took arnica. Then I took Bellus Parellus, because Bellus Parellus is something a little bit deeper than arnica. So I took those two, 1 dose each. And then I sat down, I said, why don't we try this in a different way? Why don't I do what I preach? And I put my stereo, and by the way, binary sounds, you cannot hear, like for instance, if you put your computer on and you let the binary sounds play on and you can find tons of free stuff on the internet about it, by the way. You don't have to buy anything except maybe good speakers, head speakers, very good ones. I bought myself a pair of Bluetooth ones, huge ones, in pink, and they are fabulous. And what I did is I put my tablet on at night, because I really couldn't do, the first 2 days, I couldn't really do much. I couldn't even get dressed because I couldn't lift my arm, And what I did is I went to bed. I put a little CBD salve on it. I did do that because I'm like everybody else. I want to be out of pain as fast as possible. You know, I don't want to putsy around with all kinds of experimental stuff and see if it works. I put that on, but most of the time, you know, just doing that still takes quite a while. So I said, why don't I use these binary sounds for pain? Let's see if it works, right? So I put on the program, and you can just put in Google it, binary sounds for pain. Get all kinds of free stuff. Put your headphones on, lean back, and listen. Just really sort of like let your mind float into that sound. Now, it's not going to happen right away. Most of the time, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes for your mind to calm down. Mine is, at least. I have a terrible monkey brain. I mean, I can't meditate worse, you know. Uh, when I do meditate, it takes me about 5 to 10 minutes to really get into it. And then what I do is I do exactly what I showed you before. I take a few breaths, really deep breaths, let my shoulders drop, relax my back, relax. And sometimes it works also if you tell your feet, relax, relax. Tell your lower leg, relax, relax. It occupies your brain, making that mantra. And while you're doing that, you're going deeper into it's like a self-hypnosis almost. And the binary sounds are helping with that. Well, I fell asleep. I looked on the clock afterwards. I was sleepy enough to turn the sound off, take my headphones off, and curl up and go to sleep. The next morning, I had a really remarkable decrease of pain when I moved my arm. The pain was still there, but it was not as excruciating as it was before. I was able to raise my arm. I was able to reach. It's still, when I go and turn it a little, because there was an injury, it has to heal. Okay. But it's not quite a week. This happened on Tuesday. So it's not quite a week. So it's remarkable how the binary sounds will help. Now, what I'm going to do today, because it has been a few days, I'm going to use my LED light on that to help it to heal. To help it to heal. Red and blue LED light helps tissue to heal. So that also detoxes the area of the trauma. When there is trauma to an area, there is debris, there is pain debris, there is debris, cell debris, there is debris in the tissue that needs to be detoxed. And once you have done that, once you have employed either binary sounds and LED, homeopathy, maybe some heat, maybe some cold, depending on what needs to be treated. Once you have exhausted that much, and you're still not markedly better, not well yet, maybe. Sometimes you are well right then, but maybe not totally well yet. But there has been an improvement. You don't need to see anybody else really. But If you have no improvement, the pain is still as severe as it was on the onset, and you have not received any relief, you need to go and get checked further. You need to, after 1 week, and you have not received any, you need to get checked further. I do too. When that happened with my neck, I wanted to shoot myself. I had so much pain. And after 4 days of that, I said, that's it. I'm going in. I'm going to have an MRI. I'm going to see if I'm going to be able to live for the next many years that I want to live. So I had an MRI done. I knew exactly what happened, that my vertebrae, just like when you get it in the lower back, you can get it in your neck. My vertebrae was encroaching onto the nerve, and the ulnar nerve down my arm was impaired. And what I had to do is stretch my neck so that it released that nerve. And I was able then to treat my body. And I never did take, other than one Oxycontin, that was just for that one day that I and it didn't really do much for me. But I finally broke down and did that, but none other. And I just treated it all with CBD oil, light, heat, and stretching, and binary sounds now, which I had known about before. But when you're a person like me who reads really nothing else but natural health information, what are the latest advances, and homeopathy, you don't always have ready available the stuff that you'd learned years ago. Binary sounds is not something new. That has been around for 30 years, probably longer. As have salt caves. Anybody heard of salt caves for pain and detox? No, nobody's out there. I'm all by myself here, right?
No, you're not.
All right, folks, wake up. All right. Salt caves are becoming a huge comeback in this country. Huge. I didn't know how huge. I mean, I read a lot of natural health stuff, but I hardly ever read the wellness stuff, and I sort of missed it the last couple of years. There are now franchises that that you can go in, and there's a salt room and there's salt caves, and you all have seen those salt lamps, right? They look very pretty, and most people really don't know why they're so popular. Well, let me tell you. Salt, Himalayan salt especially, they create an environment for life. They create negative ions. So all of this stuff, that onslaught that will make your cells die, that will really, the minute we get born, we really start to decompose. We grow, and then we start to decompose. We are not like trees or plants. They got it made much better. We have a very relatively short lifespan. There are many species on this earth that has a much longer lifespan because they are designed not to deteriorate as quickly as we do, and are not as volatile, really. Although we are finding now that so many species are just as volatile to all of the pollution and all of our world's demise. But
I think we're lucky in this sense.
we are.
Yeah, can you imagine living 100 years under a
Well,
President Obama?
all right, I didn't expect that. Come on.
I mean, it's all
No,
relative.
100
If we
years.
look,
Well, I know I have lived at least 3 lifetimes. How could I be so smart in just one lifetime? Huh? You tell me. So, no, I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. Our consciousness would have to change dramatically in order for us to survive that. Our outlook on life would have to be changing and drastically revamped. But one of the things is why I am here. I'm trying to give all of us a few more years that we would normally probably not have. Because if we listen to what is happening out there continuously and internalize it and listen to only doctors and listen to only pharmaceutical companies, uh, we will live a shorter life. We will. It has been proven, that doctors, as a rule, don't have their lifespan is much shorter than other professions. So that would tell you something. But here's what is with salt caves. Now, salt caves is a very old way of wellness. Hippocrates had written in his writings about salt caves. It has been used in the past predominantly for bronchial, lung, upper respiratory problems. They would put them into these salt caves and for an hour or two a day. And, within a week, bronchial and respiratory problems would be gone because it does something. People with psoriasis greatly benefit from being in the salt room or in salt caves. Depression, vascular diseases. There's really not much pain management. Huge in pain. If you have chronic pain, find a salt room somewhere in your area. They're starting to become more and more. In fact, I'm starting to think that I'm going to put one into my clinic. And it's easily constructed. You can use an infrared sauna, and that's where I'm going to be using it. And I'm going to buy salt bricks, frame them, and put it on the wall. And then when I have the infrared sauna on, it activates the salt and gives the ions that are positive to me off to the person. You can also construct a real salt room. There are companies now that are doing that. Now, when I'm planning to do that, in fact, today, to go into my infrared sauna with my binary sounds, because I have the Bluetooth headphone, and see if I can speed up the healing process for my shoulder and my arm. I don't have as yet any salt blocks in there, but I do have a couple of salt lamps that I'm going to be putting in there. Not light the lamps, just put the salt in there, and hopefully that will give some. I will have one, a whole, like for the wall, one wall, I will just make into Himalayan salt. Now, if you can do that at home, you can do that at home, by the way. You can make like a room divider, and in three stages so that it sits nicely. And you can buy yourself salt blocks, and they are thin and they're easily constructed. You can put them all in there. They're not that expensive. You can also take a frame and take rock salt or that fine salt that you use that you can buy in big sacks, and you can put it on there, wet it and smooth it, and wet it and smooth it, similar to concrete. Then let the whole thing dry. Be sure that it's not too thick because salt does get heavy. Uh, and you can construct something like that with it. You can then shine a bright light on it, or you can use a steamer that you steam it lightly. That releases the ions, the beneficiary ions. I mean, you can also buy yourself a unit. It's a hollow whatever a unit, and when you go in and Google it, you'll find all of this stuff. Well, it, it's all of how much money you have or you want to spend. As always, it takes. So there is a detox way. There is a pain management way. And now we come to what really will not work. Because there's something out there, and they are called the detox foot baths. And I know that some of you are probably listening and saying, well, I have used it and it works. Well, that shows you that the mind really tells you what to do. And the mind really, and mind over matter, and mind over your illness can make you well. Can. I'm not saying that it doesn't. But you cannot detox through your feet into water. You don't detox your liver, you don't detox your heart, besides you don't have to detox your heart anyway. But, all of these claims that they make, you can't do that. But if you believe that it works, then it works. For most parts, if you really believe. But then believe and thinking that it might work, they're two different things, as we know, right? One is saying, your mind is saying, well, yeah, it works, it works, it works, it works, it works. And then the other one is knowing that there's a God. You know it, right? We all know it. If you know it, then it works. And those are the two differences there. So if you have chronic pain, start with binary sound listening. It's cheap, it's inexpensive, it's a way to go. Get yourself some good CBD oil. And if you have a problem with that, I am making new batches of CBD oil from hemp that does not get you high, that does not give you an out-of-body experience or any of that. All it does is help you detox and fight any chronic pain, and fight also chronic depression, which also happens in the spring. By now, everybody is tired of bad weather or bad this, bad that. We are now really getting tired and saying, why the heck did I spend this much money for Christmas when I'm paying it off until July? All of these things are starting to set in at this time of the year. So when you have that, here's what you do. Listen to binary sounds, positive thinking. Pick the one that you think you want to work on first. Then you find a salt cave somewhere. Most of the time, these salt cave charges are very little. I mean, between $35 and $45 for 45 minutes. and you sit in a nice gravity chair, and you might listen to music or you might not, depending on where and what you do. If you have somebody who works with LED lights in your area, go to that person and find out if LED light would benefit that particular area of pain that you have. LED light does not really benefit if you have a kidney problem or if you have a kidney stone. Doesn't work so well. For that, homeopathy and herbal ingredients. Then start making a diet. I have talked to you about turmeric. Turmeric with a little bit of ginger and garlic. Make it in a coconut paste. Put it on anything that you think you would want to have it in, and your body will naturally fight inflammation and naturally detox. Seek someone out with an infrared sauna. Infrared sauna is a huge detoxifier. If you want to buy yourself one, they are not that terribly expensive anymore. It's a good idea to have them in the house. I have one here and I absolutely adore it. So there you have it. The difference between a infrared sauna and a regular sauna, Finnish sauna, just very quickly because we're running out of time. The difference there is really quite large. You have to think of an infrared sauna heats you from the inside out. A regular Finnish sauna heats you from the outside in. It's a dry heat that heats you from the outside in. There is a huge therapeutic difference. When you start heating up your organs and your blood vessels, it expands much quicker. That's why you do not spend an hour in an infrared sauna, unless you're me. I can spend an hour in there, but normally you don't. You keep it at a lower heat so that you just gradually heat from the inside out and you start expelling. That's why it's a huge detoxifier. Now, the Finnish sauna is a huge detoxifier in a different way. It increases your vascular system and it needs the cold shock afterwards. So when you go into a Finnish sauna, to get the real benefit, you need to come out and go into a cold climate so that your cells and your vascular system contracts again and pumps blood into your organs quick and fast. That's why in a Finnish sauna is not a good idea for people with high blood pressure. But an infrared sauna, maybe with a salt wall, is a huge detoxifier and is very beneficial. And even if you have a pacemaker, even if you have high blood pressure, you can use on a low setting infrared sauna. Low setting is the operative word here. So there you have it. Pain management without drugs and without chemicals. What do you think? What do you think, Adnan?
I think it's a great idea, always.
Yeah. And you don't have to find this very intuitive, fabulous homeopath that you can trust. You can do this on your own. But if you can't find a homeopath that you can trust, you can live a long, long, long life without pain. Look at the Queen Mother, the Queen Elizabeth. I mean, is she an inspiration or what? She has been all her life using homeopathic remedies and uses pretty exclusively homeopath methods. Pretty remarkable, the lady. And there are many more like that, many, many. Jane Fonda, from what I understand, believes in homeopathy. And look at her, other than she's too skinny, in my opinion. But I think she is just, her mind works like a steel trap, and she is out there, and she is energetic, and yeah, that's what we can do. Do we have anybody who has any comment or question
Nope.
before?
Oh,
Yeah.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, before I sound off, because as always, that hour went like quick, 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 quick. And whenever I like have things that I really am passionate and love to talk about, send me a note. Send me a Twitter note. You can, My Life, My Will. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. Send me a note if you have a question. Send me a comment. You can also go Nissan Communications. There, the notes and the comments will be held. And as always, do rate the show, please, 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 please. Even if you just give it 1 star, I gotta know of what you like and what you don't like. So, with that said, I wish you all a fabulous week. I hope you have the least amount of stress and the least amount of pain and the least amount of aggravation that the universe can possibly give you. And that is really a sad thing to say. And a few years ago, I probably would have said, I wish you none of it. But the realistic way today is that we will get some. I don't care how zen you are. But I hope you have the least amount, because as you know, stress creates free radicals in our body. And free radicals will oxidate our cells. And oxidated cells will give us Alzheimer's, dementia, an old before our time body. So don't do it to yourself. Stay away from stress. It's our enemy. You listen to the Gisela Show every Sunday at 12 o'clock. And I hope to talk to you. And remember, next week, I want you to, we have a question and answer thing again. I will ask a question, you will answer, and you want to tell me what you like and what you don't like. Okay? Amnon?
Yep.
Again, what a pleasure. Always, always,
Thank
always.
you. Thank you.
And I wish you a fabulous week too. Bye-bye.
You're tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section on nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Atomos.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.